Hey, y'all.
What's up? What's up?
Wow.
Actually, you know what? Let's do the formal intro.
We got to do it.
Yes.
You ready?
1, 2, 3.
Hey, welcome back to Meet the Masons. Thank you guys for joining us again. Woohoo! Wow. I almost don't even know where to start, but we're not going to keep you long tonight. However, we're back, you guys, with a series called Road to Rediscovery. But we couldn't start off a new series without just kind of addressing where we've been so far.
We've been all over.
Yeah, we have.
Where do you want to start? Actually, do you want to leave this in the middle? You want this up?
Well, you want to pull it down some?
No, I'm talking about like this. Because on this road to rediscovery, we have been literally moving around. And
yeah, those
there. Cool. All right, cool. So we've been literally moving around. We are in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And y'all know for the last, at least my last 15 years, I've been in Florida. Kiara's been in Florida for 33. And
no, I turned 33 here. How old am I? So I was 31 years. I turned 32 in Tulsa.
Yeah. But we sold the house just like a little while ago.
Yeah, true.
Either way, all in all, it's been a while, and we're now in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have our two lovely littles here, River and Levi. They're stage left, and
hey, Mom,
rocking
great
and rolling.
To see you.
What's up? What's up? So let's get it started. I know you mentioned Road to Rediscovery. So where did you come up with that title? What does that mean to you? And I want to hear the story too.
Okay, so you guys, man, I feel like it starts with where we've been. But a part of my life, honestly, when I look over the course of my entire life, I just saw so much transition from career to career and just rediscovering, reinventing myself so many times. I never thought that would ever be my story. But when I look back, I'm like, I'm pretty sure God is intentional about it. And it didn't happen just one time. Right. It happened multiple times over the course of 5 years. And so our most recent transition was leaving Florida and moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma to serve in full-time ministry on my side, and we still have our business, obviously, shameless plug.
Yeah, maximize. And actually, I might have to walk in this background just so y'all know it's not a green screen, because it looks like a green screen.
I'm like, does. It looks nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna walk on over here real quick. Look,
this is our new home, y'all. We just moved a couple months ago, so we're still like getting things together, all the things. Today we painted our office. Mainly Jared.
No, we all painted.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
y'all see about that a little bit later.
Yes, if you guys are not up to date with the reason why we moved, essentially the Lord prompted us to apply to a ministry that was really ministering to us for a lot of years, and it was really unexpected because we were enjoying our life. Like, we were in business,
maximizing
up the street from Disney. Our family was nearby. That was never in our plans to ever I always wanted to move, but we was thinking more so like North Carolina.
Look, Charlotte has a secret place. It's not secret anymore, but Charlotte, North Carolina was our next option for go-to. We went there 12 times in 1 year, and we were like, we're going here so often, we might as well buy another house. And then maybe a month or two after that little cycle, this popped up, and boom.
Yeah.
Everything transformed after that.
Transformed. No pun intended. So the Lord prompted us to apply for a job at a ministry, and was totally left field for us. And then we both ended up applying.
Yeah, I see. I didn't know how much of the story you was going to tell. I applied as a catalyst for Kiara to do it because my goal was not to actually work there. My goal was to have them as a client. That was my goal, because I'm like, we're made to maximize. We do this for ministries and businesses and organizations around the world, and this will be another one of those organizations. However, it was not that situation.
It wasn't that.
And Kiara stepped in, and she's maximizing every day, and we're loving it.
Yeah,
a lot of great progress.
So with that, I kind of went through the interview process one way, applied for one particular position, and during the interview process, I ended up being promoted to being a communications director. So that was super cool, super unexpected, and I think we found out like the end of August, 3 weeks later, we were packing up to move, and we brought like literally 3 weeks worth of clothes because we were like, oh, we'll get to our house, like we can rent it out, we can do whatever. It was just like Jerry was like, we can build when we get there, we can buy all the things we need there.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars to ship stuff when it costs the same amount to just buy new stuff. So we ended up buying new stuff, and funny enough, we ended up getting a furniture store that was a client.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, we'll buy furniture from our client. And I will say, plug out to Major, because she told us about the Tulsa Remote Program, which helped us with like $20,000 in transition.
Yeah, that was super dope. So it was like everything was just lining up perfectly for us to transition. Like we just saw God's hand of approval all over it, and so we moved. We downsized into an apartment.
And into a house.
It was something that I always wanted to do. I'm like, babe, I want to live in an apartment. Like I said that a couple of years ago. He's like, babe, what are you talking about? I was like, I just want to do it. I want to downsize. And we did it, y'all.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily love the space, but was super grateful for it. It was actually very spacious.
It was spacious compared to our Sanford apartment.
Oh yeah, first one.
And I tell you one thing, it's just been a interesting journey, and there's almost like a back in time element that's happening here. It feels like we are starting where we started at almost 10 years ago, or over 10 years ago, and now we have more wisdom, more application, more strategy to apply to the same style situations. So most times in life, you don't get to do a redo, but this is kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, definitely feel like the Lord has been gracious to allow us to go through another similar season, but like he said, with more wisdom this time. So that's kind of like a story on where we've been. We moved into our apartment, we renewed the lease. We did this also in 2014 going into 15. Then we bought a house in the next year, which is exactly what just happened. So we just bought a house.
What's crazy is the first house we bought was 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 2-car garage, and this one is 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 2-car garage, and it's the same exact price.
Yes, that was a crazy thing.
I was like,
with this new market. What? That was kind of unheard of. So a lot of things just very similar. So obviously we're asking for the Lord for more wisdom so that we can maximize and go even beyond that. So to the question of why the road to rediscovery.
Before that.
Yeah.
So if it's rediscovery, what did you discover first, and why are you rediscovering? I'll break this thing down. Help me understand.
So it's rediscovery because I think a lot of times when we go throughout life, and especially when you come into your adulthood, you're like, I think I have myself figured out.
Okay.
And then as you go and transition into new seasons and new places, and you meet new people, you find out that you have to actually rediscover who you are every single time. And so that is pretty much one of the reasons why I want to do Road to Rediscovery, because I find that so many adults, so many people are going through transitions where they're moving to a whole different state, a new place, or it's a new career or a new job.
Life change.
Life changes, becoming a parent.
Getting married.
Yes, all those
loss
different
of a
things.
loved one. There's so many different things.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on. This is, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
I almost want to sit on that side so I can ask questions from over there.
You can ask them right here.
I can, but you want
to talk them out for a second?
No, I don't want to talk them out. I also want to feel like I'm on YouTube watching you. So let me pull that up real quick.
So while Jared's pulling that up, Road to Rediscovery is really to speak to the people who feel like they've had to reinvent themselves. They feel like they're in the in the crossroads of transition, and they don't know what to do next. And because I've gone through this cycle after cycle, I'm like, okay, Lord, obviously this is something you want to share. A lot of times when we go through transition, it's heart-wrenching. There are a lot of emotions that come along with transitioning, whether it's the grieving of what was, the unknown of what is to come, the excitement, honestly, of what could be new, and managing those emotions and where you're going, what you're going to do. It's hard if you don't always have like practical steps and like people guiding you through that. A lot of times you can spiral down into depression or anxiety and all these different things because you just don't know, or so much is changing around you that it's like, how am I stabilized in the midst of all the things that are happening?
All the transition. No, that's important. Mm-hmm. So what would you say is one of the indicators you found that made you even think of, I need to rediscover myself? Because if you discovered yourself the first time and now this is rediscovery, what was the signs or the telltale signs that got you in the gap in between? Like, how'd you know that you lost that discovery mode?
Yeah, I think like I was saying earlier, you get to a point in life where you're like, you think you have it figured out. You think you have yourself figured out, honestly. I would say one of the transitions, which I didn't really plan on talking about, was the transition of my granny. And I think a lot of times, people that you love, you think that they are immortal. Like they will never die. They'll always be a part of your story. Yeah. They'll always be a part of your life. They'll see generations to generations. And I didn't know that so much of my identity and just being proud of where I come from, proud of who she was, proud of my story. I felt like it was so much of me. And so when she passed away, it shook me to my core to where I didn't know a grief like that before. I didn't know that my identity could be shifted. I didn't know that I would feel like parts of me died as my granny passed away. And so it caused me to say, hey, Kiara, who are you? Yeah. What can you take away from this transition? What is the good and how do you move forward from it? And everyone processes differently. But I've definitely, and this is more so geared towards like career and purpose, but grief is definitely a major transition that people go through. But I would say throughout my life's journey, I feel like I'm going through 7 specific steps each and every time I'm going through a transition. And
so you have all the 7 steps, or is that coming later?
No, I can tell you 7 steps right now. Yeah. It'll be a gist. I can't tell y'all that this is gonna be the final, list and what every video is gonna be named after, but I will give you all an idea of what I've gone through in this process. So, since you're here, yes, have you ever felt like you've had to rediscover yourself?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
You want a drink?
You want a drink?
I'll go get you a drink. Come on. You just want to be on the camera. You're trying to maximize. Come on.
You guys probably have not seen Levi in so long, but he was our baby that was born in the pandemic, January 2020, and now he's our big boy. He's 4 years old. And we got River. We all remember River. This is our superstar. One of the reasons why we started our channel. Hi, sweet girl.
All right, let's go get this up so I can get a juice.
Okay, go get a snack from Daddy. Are you going to say hi?
Hi.
All right, so I'm going to give you all the 7 steps that I have gone through in this process of rediscovery. So one, I would say, step 1 is finding security in your identity. Step 2 is recognizing you need training. Step 3 is immersing yourself. Step 4 is recognizing that there are pivotal points that happen in your life. Number 5 is character versus creative expression. Number 6, dying to your former self. And then 7, embracing the new. If y'all hear my son in the background, he just had a little accident. Sweetie, it's okay. It was an accident, baby. So in the meantime, yes. So I'm going to start to lean into what step 1 looked like for me. And that was really finding security in my identity. So I'm going to take it back to college, where I feel like a lot of us, when you're in that 18 to 20 stage, you're trying to find out who you are. And that's exactly where I was. So I was in a place where I went to college and you got to pick a major. So I feel like in this pivotal time, they're saying, pick a box, pick your career path, pick where you see your life going, your trajectory. And so you have a lot of questions because it's like, what in the world am I going to do? And so for a moment, I was psychology major. Then I was in the interdisciplinary studies major, meaning I had 3 different majors and I couldn't decide. And so they kind of just made it one thing. And then it led me to being to focusing on social work. But during that time, I asked that strategic question of God, who am I? And I would say in this stage of rediscovery, you have to really know what your foundation is. Without your foundation in God, your foundation in knowing who you are outside of what you do is so pivotal. And so I think that this step carries you through the rediscovery process, because if you never know who you are, then you will be tossed to and fro based on the things that you're doing, the things that happen to you. Life will happen to you, and then you change because of your circumstances. But there are some things in your life and just principles and just foundational things about you that will never change, and you will have to remember them as seasons change in your life. So I went through that moment of asking God, like, who am I? Why did you put me on this earth? And I believe that's a question that everyone should ask themselves, like, God, who did you call me to be? Because you created me for a purpose. And I think, and we've talked about this a lot on our channel, but like our faith in God and our relationship with God is the foundation of who we are. Like, we walk by faith and not by sight. And if I didn't know who Jesus was, if I didn't know the God of our Bible, if I didn't know the stories of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, if I didn't know these things, I wouldn't know. If I didn't have pastors who were pastoring me and teaching me the word, I wouldn't be a woman who would walk by faith. Right. And know that I can take these transitions and these new discoveries and pivot with them and walk with them, because fear is always going to present itself when you are transitioning and when you're trying to find out who you are. And so nonetheless, I asked that question, like, Lord, why was I put here? And through the course of the years of my life, honestly, it never stopped at that one point. But I think that's where you should always start, is knowing like a couple of things of what God says about you and how he sees you. And I remember at the time he told me that empowering women was a part of my purpose. And I had a problem with that.
I'm going to share this live. Keep going.
Cool. I had a problem with that because at the time I didn't really jive a lot with a lot of women. And so for him to tell me that I would empower women, I was like, okay, what does that mean? And sometimes you have to be able to receive what God is saying, knowing that you may not see the manifestation of it at the time, but eventually you will. I didn't know that I would be creating a YouTube channel or sending around pregnancy, and people would be inspired by that, and starting a nonprofit for women and doing all the things. Never, ever expected that. But God said it. And so in the beginning of your rediscovery process, you need to come to the foundational place where you're seeking God on, who am I? What did you create me to do? Who did you create me to be? What are things that are specific to me that makes me different from the next person?
I think that's highly impactful to understand that each part of this, you have to do the biblical assessment, but you also have to do the basic assessment. Like, hey, where do I see myself? Who did God say I am? How did he say I am? And what does he want me to do about that? But then also being not so spiritual all the time, like, all right, which box am I going to check first? Because you mentioned interdisciplinary studies. That's a tough word to say, even though we both graduated. Okay. Right. But it's like, when you are in between, you still have to decide that you're in between. Yeah. Versus not agreeing to the fact that you're in between and not settled with what you want to do next. You have to be okay with the step you're in as you're in that step. So I think that's one thing. I know I went to get the juices and stuff and snacks for the kids. But you're asking me if I've ever been in the spot of something.
Of where you felt like you had to rediscover, or where you've been on step one, which is like finding security in your identity and who God called you to be.
Yeah, I can do a brief version of both of those because, I can go.
Yes.
I can talk, okay? I do it for a living. So area of rediscovery and trying to find myself, I would definitely say after we moved back to the States, because and y'all know, anybody that's on Meet the Masons, I used to live in Japan for 12 years. So coming back to the States, it was literally like, cut that off, thank you. Boom. It was literally like coming back to America. So we have a totally different walk of life, totally different way of life. We get back to the States, everything's great. We meet up with our family, our cousins, our friends. And then shortly after that, our parents move to Chicago, and we're in Florida, just the guys by ourselves. Like, we're young men. But it's like, hold up. We're not the Mason boys anymore. We're the Mason men. Like, hey, you got to pay rent. You got to pay car insurance. You got to do this. You got to do that. So that was like a rediscovery. Like, hold on. I'm not only my father's son and my mother's son. I'm a man. I'm not only a child of this great lineage. I have my own responsibility, my own legacy that I have to build. And that moment was like, okay, this is interesting. I would also say changing careers from doing full-time insurance sales to full-time marketing. It's like, hold up. My career plan was to retire as a broker.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. Now I still broker deals now, not through insurance, but through marketing and consulting with Made to Maximize, as you see. But that was a complete shift in what we plan for and how we plan things. So I think I have a bunch of other stories of that, but yeah, those are two quick ones.
Yeah, that's good. And I think the biggest thing as we wrap up, when you are on your first step of rediscovery, you might already be in a season of transition. And so you may, and I say this, and I said this earlier, but like these 7 steps, you're going to constantly go through at every transition. So you're probably
7 again.
Yeah.
Can you do like a bullet without? I just want to make sure I get them because I was over there and I was like, I want to hear the 7 steps.
Yes. So the first step is security in your identity. Second step is recognizing you need training. 3 is immersing yourself. 4 is that pivotal point where you know it's time to change. 5 is character versus creative expression. So separating what you do from who you are. 6 is dying to your former self. And then 7 is embracing the new.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. So what you're saying is basically this is going to, over the next 7 days or however long this is, you're going to walk through each one of those.
Yeah.
Now you're going to walk through those. I'm not, right?
No, unless you want to join me.
I'll always join you if you need me, but I'm just making sure because I'm like, that actually sounds pretty captivating.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I do.
This is the first time hearing it, you guys.
Yeah.
So I would say this as we wrap up. What I recognize that in my journey of becoming a social worker, then a content creator, then owning a marketing agency, then being a nonprofit founder, and all these different things. Okay. Throughout the process of changing my careers, one thing that the Lord had told me in my process and one of my transitions was that I exist to serve leaders. And the thing about it is that when you secure your identity and you know who you are, you see that expression change throughout the years. So serving leaders, I was a social worker, but I was serving leaders by serving parents. Parents are leaders. Right. They're leading their children. And then I went to marketing. I'm like, well, God, how do I serve leaders in this capacity? You're serving business leaders who lead their clients. Right. They make pivotal decisions, X, Y, and Z. Then serving in ministry, you're serving your ministerial leaders. What spiritual needs do they have? Praying for them in the background, all those different things. And then moving on to communications and leading a team. But yet still you're serving the vision of a leader. And so throughout it, when you know what your identity is, the cool thing is that God will show you that I meant what I said when I said it. And it will look different throughout the course of your life if you allow yourself to lean into it. Don't be scared of the transition. Don't be scared of who you may become throughout it all.
I'm gonna throw some hearts in the chat.
Because you know what your actual identity is, and it can look different in every single season. So that's all I got for step 1. These are not meant to be super long.
It's not meant to be super long, but I'm trying to maximize both sides. So I want to comment in the chat because I'm listening and I'm live. But then at the same time, I'm listening and I'm live. You heard me?
Amen.
So yeah, let me go ahead and put you some love in there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So in the meantime, do you have anything that you want to share?
One, I'm excited because there's something about rediscovery that is a little redundant, but there is something about rediscovery that is reforming and reassuring as well. So I think of it as running track. If you start at the starting line and you go around the loop, you finish, right? But people get so excited when they run track. It's like, oh, okay, I'm about to run the 400. You go around 1 time. The 800, you go around 2 times, right? So with that 400, you're really rushing to get back to where you started. And then if you're running the 800, you rush to get back to where you started, and then you do it again. But the biggest difference in those transitions is a lot of times it's not just the fact that you went around the track. It's the new perspective that you gained. It's the new momentum that you gained. It's the new awareness that you gained, the new positioning that you gained going around that track or the cycles of life. So here, it's like rediscovery. It's great that rediscovery is happening while you're alive. Because if you rediscover and you reassess and you do certain things. Now, the next time you have a new cycle in life, you have so much more reinforcement to support you and to back you up. So it's like, okay, if you're rediscovering and you're still alive, now the next time you see a problem that looks familiar, you have so much more support, so much more strategy, so much more skill to apply to that. So I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. And I would say, to wrap it up, as you were talking, I was thinking about how God just really works in cycles and seasons. And a lot of times for me, I was a very rigid person, and I thought things were linear in life. You go to step 1, you go to step 2, you go to step 3. You're literally just building upon, this straight tower, and that's how life goes, when in reality life goes like this, but it goes also in circles, in cycles. And I think one of the things is breaking off that mindset of thinking that your life will go in one straight trajectory.
Right.
You can go ahead and break up with that idea because life just doesn't work like that. And I had to just get myself out of that linear thinking.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Yeah.
Now, what would you say is your call to action for people that might see this and they're deciding if they want to go down this journey with you? What's the benefit?
Yeah. So I feel like if you're in a place where you are rediscovering and you find yourself at step 1, your call to action is really seeking the Lord. You're asking him questions, asking him like, hey, what do you see in me? Why was I created in this earth? But also look at some recurring themes that have happened in your life. I promise you, if you look over the course of your life, you will literally see cyclical things, but also similar things happening in your life. A fun thing that's happening for me right now, I remember in elementary school, and I'm talking about go back to your childhood, because a lot of these things are telltale of what's to come. I was a news reporter in elementary school, and I still remember my lines. Hey, it's Kiara Mason. No, it wasn't Kiara Mason. It's Kiara Nair reporting live from Room 15. And I didn't know that was a setup for what was to come. So I didn't know I would work in media. You know what I mean? I didn't know that I would work with other news reporters.
I was just about to say, you've been on the news multiple times.
It's crazy that looking over the course of my life, those were little snippets of what was to come. So I would encourage you to just get quiet and think about, man, what has the trajectory of my life been so far? Is this a telltale sign of something that's to come that God wants to really just grow? Yeah. I think we have a comment right here. Jessica said, informative and inspiring. Pray that I can get out of my own way and let God do his amazing work in me. Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, super excited for you.
One thing I would say, I think it's always important not only to tell people, hey, this is what's going to happen next, but tell people like some things that have happened already, like 1 or 2 testimonies or 1 or 2 examples of like, hey, this is really a tangible piece, unless that's a part of the 7. If that's a part of the 7, cool. But like, give somebody something where I'm like, hey, so
it's coming up. So that means you got to stay tuned every single day. I don't have a set time, y'all. I'm gonna go live. I don't know, but I just know every day until May 30th. No, it'll be in different spaces.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good for them to know too.
Yeah. So just know that by 7 p.m. Central every single day, there will be a new video for the next 7 days. So this series is from now until May 3rd. And we have something exciting to share on May 3rd that we want to tell you guys about. But in the meantime, if you are in that time of transition, you are on the road to rediscovery, join me. Let's encourage one another as we navigate this journey.
Now, I want to ask 1 more question.
Oh my gosh.
Are you going live every day, or are you posting content about this every day?
I'm going live, or you will get a video. I'm not committing to neither one. I'm not about to stress myself.
I just want to know.
I'm not about to stress myself.
I just want to know.
Or you guys can tell me, do you prefer live? Because with live, you can ask questions, which is a benefit. Or I can just give you some power pack content, upload it. But we'll see. Maybe I'll ask my Instagram people. So if you are not joining me, or if you're not following me on Instagram, join me there at Kiara J. Mason and Jared at
Jared Mason.
Yeah, that's
Jerred
Mason.
Yes.
And
or made to maximize. Y'all can see it.
Absolutely. So yeah, you'll be seeing more of us. Super excited. Jared wants to join.
I don't know. We don't know when you're going to go live or you're going to make a post, so it's like a little bit random. But I can rock with random.
Yeah, just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for 30 minutes. Somebody said, surprised to see you today. I'm surprised too. You know?
Yeah. So am I. Literally. I'm like, hold on, we doing what? Right now?
We be like super, I was about to say hot, but that's the environment that I'm in right now. Humble, open, transparent. We're in a season where I was asking a lot of questions. Like, I am in a time of rediscovery because I've been through a season once again of having to shift and like, okay, I'm doing a new thing. What does this mean? All those different things. So asking questions. And I was like, God, what do you want me to do? I want to look forward to something again. I want to create in a way that I haven't in a long time. And we had to take a pause because we were doing a lot of different things so that we could focus and, you know, to be single focused, because you guys, that is so important. This generation of multitaskers and thinking you can do all, if you can, God bless it. But if you can't, I found out that I have a capacity and I wanted to do well in multiple areas and not be drowning. So I had to pause in this season. But anyway, just really felt that spark to create again. And I'm like, okay, are we going back on YouTube? Is this a thing? You want to go for it? Let's do it. So
I'm ready to maximize. I would definitely say, there's been, now that you're saying this, I might have to read through the notes that you said of the 7 things to prepare my mind for like, okay, how do I see myself in each one of those? Because we definitely did some rediscovering and some reshaping throughout this time frame. Yeah. I was like, hold up. Yeah. I went from a full corporate environment to full-time business owner to full-time nanny to stay-at-home dad, business owner, homeschooler, mover, painter, plumber, chef.
Amen.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
The only thing that I do miss doing,
thank you, Shirley,
is River's ponytails when she was little.
Oh,
now that
you
y'all
can still do them.
No, I'm just saying, now that y'all got locks, it's a little bit different than combing through it.
It is.
You know, so
that's
now that I'm thinking about it.
We have another question. How do you stay purposeful without just being productive? I think productivity within itself is purposeful. But if you mean like doing something that ignites the fire in your heart, I think always being connected to the Father, the one who created your purpose, makes life purposeful. And so you may not be working, like your 9 to 5 may not be something that you feel like is in your purpose, but I promise you, when you include God in everything that you do, He will give you meaningful things to do. He will allow you to touch people's lives, whether you're in a 9 to 5 that you hate, whether you're not working at all, or what have you. So for me, how did I find purpose in what I did? I was just like, let me be present with where you placed me. And sometimes when we're in spaces where it's like, this is new, this is uncomfortable, I'm not sure if I really like this, we sometimes disconnect emotionally and even spiritually. So I think finding purpose in what you do is being present always. And then God will send you those things that ignite your fire. So for me, there are times where I went into a new role, but then I recognize that not only am I in a new role to utilize my gifts, to learn a lot of different things, but there are people within my vicinity and in my sphere of influence that God wants me to pray with, to connect with, to ignite their fire and their purpose. And I had no clue that was part of the journey at all. So I think it's just being passionately present, as we would say, with where you are, and you always find purpose that way.
And I think that's a great response, first off. Secondly, when I saw the question, I saw it a little bit differently. So it's like, how do you remain purposeful without being productive? And sometimes that's like, in my mind, y'all can switch games after this. It's kind of like the mindset of just checking boxes. Like I'm doing the redundant, the mundane, the repetitive things, and that's still productive. But while you're being productive, if you're in the mode of checking boxes, it's okay to check boxes of things that you enjoy as well. Like, do you like going to the mall, or you want to, have a particular hobby? It's okay to check those personal boxes as well, versus only professional boxes, or only family boxes, or only friend boxes. And so many people get caught in I lived for this person, or I lived for this job, or I lived for this environment, and you forget that you have hobbies, you have things that you want to do as well, or you never invested in your own personal hobbies. So now it's like, so what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? So this road to rediscovery is very dynamic, because people like me, I'm really easily inclined to serve others and to support others and help other people build. But then when it's like, oh, Jared, what do you want to do for yourself? It's like, oh, I take care of y'all. I'm good. That's my go-to, is making sure y'all are good. You know what I mean? So thinking about my personal things, it's like, hold on. I haven't sat down with Jared in however long. So that kind of mindset of making sure that you're taking care of yourself while you're taking care of everybody else, that's productivity too. It's almost like having a car. It gets you to and from work. But if you never fill it up with gas, or you never get oil change, you won't go to work for long. So that's the same thing personally. You have to fill yourself up, or get filled rather, and make sure you're oiled as well. So oiled as in walking in the anointing that God has given you and being filled by Him, and then allowing that to maximize the overflow. But yeah, great question.
Great question.
And if there's any others, feel free to pop them on, because we're about to pop off.
Yeah, so you can leave them in the comment section below. We'll make sure we look over the chat in the comment section before we go live tomorrow if there are any questions. And you can just join us. Join us live, or watch the video, whichever one it'll be. But we love you all so much. Thank you for joining us as we redo this thing. So we're excited for what's to come. But I promise you, the next steps are going to be great.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Reverend Levi, you want to say peace and love, love and peace? Come on. Come on, Levi. Peace and love.
Love and peace. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
See y'all later.
Go get it.